Hey, I'm Jared McBride and it's story time. At least this is the way I remember it. Hey kids, have you ever had to eat something you really didn't want to eat? Maybe it was too green, or too red, or too orange, or too smooth, or too rough, or didn't smell at all, or smelled too much. You had to eat it to get your freedom from the table. I had to do that too. Let me tell you the story about it. So I was sitting on this bench in Africa. I just went on a safari and we were looking over the Serengeti and they gave us our sack lunch. And I'd been in Africa for about 4 weeks and I was starting to get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier because the food that they gave us to eat was really gross. We didn't want to eat it. We knew we needed the food to get the energy in our bodies, but we really didn't want to eat it. Because I would put my hand in there, and I thought, in the brown paper bag, I thought the bottom was going to rip out because it was so oily and so greasy. But I'd put my hand in there, I'd pull out this piece of really greasy looking, yucky bread. And I'd set it on the bench and I'd reach in my hand and I'd pull out a squishy, mushy papaya. Ooh. And I'd set that down on the bench. And then I'd pull out another thing. It looked like a donut, but it was really just greasy bread with a hole in it. I put that down. And then I reached in the bag. My hand was getting all oily. I reached in the bag again. I pulled out the last thing and it was a banana. But not a good banana. It was a brown banana, all smushy with black spots on it everywhere. And it didn't look good at all. I smelled it and it didn't smell good at all. And my friend Nate was sitting next to me. And he pulled out of his bag this little bone with a little bit of skin on it. And they called it a drumstick, but I think it was just a bone with some skin. And he was looking at it and squinting at it. And he's like, how am I going to eat this? How am I going to eat this, Jared? How am I going to eat this? And then I could see in his eyes, the brain was turning. His eyes kind of glazed over. And he was thinking back, and he was thinking back. And he's like, hey, Jared, I got an idea. Remember when we were on safari today, we saw the hyenas and they had the short hair and they were all gross and smelly because when they find a mud puddle, they just lay in it and get mud all over them, grossness and mud in their face and hair, and they have dead stuff hanging out of their mouth from what they just ate. Because in Africa, on the Serengeti, when something dies, first the lions come and they eat all the good parts. And then the African dogs come in and they eat the next good parts. And then after that, the vultures come in and they pick and pick and pick and eat the rest of the good parts. And then when it's all gross and red and nasty and stinky, that's when the hyena smells it. They're laying in that mud puddle and they get a whiff and they trot over there. And it's this gross, dead thing. And they go, hey, that looks good. I am a hyena. I can eat anything. And they eat it. They eat the bones. And they eat the guts. And they eat the fur. And they eat the hoofs. They eat everything and there's nothing left. The hyena is like the garbage disposal of Africa. And Nate's sitting there squinting at his chicken bone and he says, Jared, I got it. This is how I'm going to do it. I just imagine in my mind that I'm a hyena and then I can eat anything. And he stares down that little chicken bone and he says, in his loudest, proudest voice, he says, I am a hyena. And little bits of bone were flying out. And he finished the whole thing. The skin, the little bit of meat on there, and the bone was completely gone. And I thought, what a great idea. And I was still holding my banana, and I said, I am a hyena. And I ate it gone, peel brown spots, the whole thing gone. I ate it. So kids, if you're ever sitting there at the table and you have to eat those greens or those peas or that meat or whatever it is that's left on your plate, remember, stare it down and say, I am a hyena and arr, and then you can have freedom! Freedom from the table! Remember to subscribe to Jared McBride Story Time. Hey parents, if you or anyone you know needs a real estate loan in California, give me a call or contact me through my website, jaredmcbride.com.